Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie Kaufman, and I'm the OER lead at Clovis Community College. Dr. Sao has been teaching and working on his LibreText version for Chem 1A for a few years now, and he's been taking advantage of our OER grants through the district. So welcome, David.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here. And as Stephanie mentioned, my name is Dr. David Sao, and I teach Chem 1A and Chem 1B here at Clovis Community College. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I do and how I use LibreText to help my students in the chemistry course. So a quick outline, I was told I have about 7 minutes, so hopefully don't run over that and give you some time at the end to ask a few questions. But I'm briefly going to go over why I use LibreText because it can edit things, which I think is really powerful. I'll also show you how I've embedded the LibreText book in the Canvas so the students can read the textbook directly in Canvas and not have to leave our interface. And then answer this big elephant in the room question that I hear from a lot of STEM instructors, which is what about the homework? I feel like a lot of publishers have us kind of hooked into their textbook and their material because of the auto-graded homework component of it. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of what I'm doing about that as well. All right, so if you went to any of the other Libre Open OER Week events this past week, you'll know that you could get access to LibreText, right? And there are some remixing functions that you can do in there. I'm not going to go over the remixing portion. I'm going to go over the editing portion, which I think in some ways is a lot more powerful. Because after you've remixed the different sections all together and you have your structure of your book in place, the editing part is really where you can get into the nitty-gritty details of your material. So if you're logged into your account and you're looking at your textbook, there will be an edit button that you can click. And when you do that, an editor window will pop up that looks like this. And it's very similar to the editors that you'll see in Canvas or your Word or something like that. It's not too different. You have like your basic formatting things, putting in tables and stuff like that. And I know this is a bit small, so we're going to go ahead and zoom in on this. Right? Because you see bullet points, numbering, paragraph spacing, all that sort of stuff. And this is really cool because, for instance, the book I'm using, I didn't really like one of the diagrams it had in there to describe how fast a chemical reaction would proceed. So I drew out my own. You can tell it's a little bit handwritten here. And I put it into the textbook. And that's what my students see. And that ability to be able to directly edit the textbook to be what you want it to be, I think is really powerful. Because then we can really speak to our students and use examples from our community and also use examples from their culture and have that cultural pedagogy piece in there as well. Other thing that I've done with my textbook is I've also embedded PhET simulations. This is a thing in STEM where out of the University of Colorado, they built out a website where there's all these different simulations that kind of represent different chemical, biological, physical, mathematical things. And you can manipulate it, play with it. But this can be embedded directly into the textbook in LibreText, which is really awesome because then your students can play with it directly in the textbook. And lastly, what I've also done is I've also put into there some questions. These are formative, not graded, not summative. But these questions then allow students to check their understanding. Again, this is all directly in the LibreText textbook. They can go in there and put in the answers for the different questions and submit, and the textbook, it's embedded in there, will tell them, are you right? Are you wrong? And you can go back and reread the textbook and try it again before they even tackle anything summative, like maybe your homework or your exams or something like that. So I think that's a really powerful part of LibreText. I've then also taken the textbook and I've embedded it in the Canvas here. So I will make a quick note here, which is the formative questions that I had showed previously, they don't currently work when the textbook is embedded in the Canvas. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way around that. But I still embedded the textbook directly in the Canvas as well, just in case students want to read it and not have to leave the LMS. So if I click on textbook readings, this is the page. You can just directly embed it in there. There's some HTML code, which if you're curious about that, I can share it with you. It's also something that you can look up online. And I think there also is an embed function built in within Canvas that allows you to enter in a URL to a site and have that open up in line in your Canvas page, which is really neat here. So this is the textbook, right? Within the Canvas page, you can see that in your screen here. And if I click on a section of the textbook, again, it's still within the Canvas page, they can just read the textbook directly there. And I think that that's really beneficial to the students. They don't have to go to a new place. It's all just right there for them. All right, so last thing is about that homework, right? That big elephant in the room, like, oh, publisher's homework is so nice, I really love it. What are you doing about the homework? Well, right now, what I did is I copied the problems from the end of chapter exercises in the OpenStax textbook that I've modified. And I've copied them into a separate document and gave those to my students as their homework set. I then also created a separate document with the key. Again, this is also just the answer keys directly from the OpenStax textbook. Put that into a separate document and gave that to the students. The students then do their homework by hand, check it against the key I provided to them, and they submit it to Canvas, and I grade it purely based on completion. Although I do tell them, hey, there will be a couple problems from your homework that I'll lift directly out of there and put directly onto the exam as kind of an encouragement for them to actually go ahead and do the homework well. But in the future, what I am currently working on is putting all the homework onto the LibreText Adapt platform. And so this is what I wanted to show you here. So this is what the Adapt platform looks like from the instructor point of view. One of the things that I think is really cool that's going to be implemented hopefully soon from what I've been hearing is Adapt will be tied into our LMS, into Canvas, so that the grades that the students get on the homework assignments here in this Adapt platform will directly be put into Canvas. It'll be synced. And that's going to be really awesome because then that's just like a publisher's homework assignment or homework program as well. So this is the instructor side. You can see I have my week 1 and my week 2 homework here at the bottom. If I were to click on one of these, select the week 1 homework, then this is what it looks like. Again, this is all the instructor view. So you have the different questions here. There's something called the Adapt ID, which is basically just the ID number for the particular problem in case you want to use it or someone else wants to use it, they can just copy paste that ID. I'm not going to get into details about that, but I'm just telling you it's possible. Then there's the points, and then there's also a solution, which you can edit. And then there's some actions here on the right-hand side. These questions, if they belong to you, you can edit them directly. And because the questions I'm using are all licensed as CC BY, I can duplicate the question and then edit it myself without having to worry about ND clauses within the licenses. And that's really neat. I can click on one of these questions, and this is how to open up an instructor view. So the students can directly go ahead and plug in the answers here and submit them. And then, of course, there's also a list of questions. They can jump between question numbers and stuff like that. Anyways, that's all instructor view. But what's really cool is that there's also a student view, and you can actually get there by toggling on the upper right-hand corner. You can toggle directly in between student view and instructor view, so you can directly see what your students see. And I think that that's really neat. I don't know about you, but for me personally, I'm always like, I wonder what my students see, and I wonder if this looks correct to the students. But sometimes I'm like, I don't know how to get there. But anyways, student view is right there. So in the student view, if I click on a particular assignment, this is what it's going to look like to them. Right, there's some important information up at the top, how much the assignment's worth, number of questions, number of allowed attempts, due date, etc., late policy, and the questions are there at the bottom there. And then once a student has done a problem, they can also view the solution. But let me show you what a problem looks like here. All right, so it looks very similar to the instructor side. They have their problem numbers, they can submit the answer. They have a give up button, which they cannot actually select until they've attempted the problem at least once. But once you submit the answers, it's going to look something like this. So if they get it correct, right, they get that immediate feedback, which is what the publishers keep selling us on. Hey, you know, your students can get immediate feedback with our homework program. Hey, your students are going to be told what the solutions are, and you don't have to be there, right? So here in Adapt, they can do the same thing. It'll give immediate feedback to the students. Are you right? Are you not right? And when they're done, they can also take a look at the solutions as well. And the solution here tells them exactly what's going on. So anyway, so I think hopefully by showing you this, you have a better understanding of really all of the awesome materials and resources out there that we can use to help our students access their textbook and even homework programs at no cost to them and still give them a really, really good learning experience. Are there any questions?
It doesn't
right.
look like we have any. I know that I'm sitting here messaging my OER librarian saying we have got to get him to come and speak to our chemistry faculty. That was a fantastic presentation, David. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to the Reedley College math faculty, Julie Kehoe, who's going to be showing some of the ways that she uses OER in her classes and also some other ways she's used HTML to develop different trainings for our dual enrollment instructors as well. And let us know if you can't hear us very well. We are sharing a set of Bluetooth headsets, so I can give her both of them if you're not able to hear her. Just please raise your hand and let us know.
I can unmute as well, and that might
Yeah.
But can you guys hear me?
I think you're on mute currently.
Sorry, that was my fault. I forgot.
You
Go ahead.
muted?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, we're really just, piecing this together today. So I've been using OER resources for several years now, and it has been such a time saver and just removed so many headaches for me for my, particularly the beginning of the semester. I'm a math teacher, so we use a lot of homeworking systems to assess our students and give them practice and that kind of thing. And the beginning of the semester was always such a pain of access codes and trial periods and things like that. And so I've switched to my open math and I've been using it for several years now, and it works great. I think there's just one feature that the publisher materials has that this doesn't, which is solving the problem for them and then giving them a new one. But everything else works pretty much the same, and it even has features that you don't see on some of those publisher sites. And one of the great things about it is embeds right into Canvas. So the students don't have to create an account. They're never leaving the Canvas LMS to do their assignments. And it's just sitting right in there. So I'll give you an example here of a homework assignment for a college algebra class. I've got information in Canvas above it, and then embedded down below here is the homework assignment. And this is the teacher view of it. But by clicking on this LTI home here, I'm actually entering my open math without ever leaving Canvas myself. So I can edit the questions. I can look at the grades from my open math in here, but they also feed into the Canvas gradebook. And I can create my assignments here without ever having to leave Canvas to work on it. The settings as well. Lots of different features and customizable features within it. And if I look at it from a student view, this is what it looks like to my students. So a lot of the settings are determined by Canvas, but we have the assignment down here. Oh, and it looks like I already played around with this one. So it has a lot of options for students to answer questions. Math is one of those particularly where we have a hard time with being able to create things like in Adapt without knowing computer code. But a lot of people created homework problems in here that have made it really nice. And students can skip around and there's lots of settings. So it's just a really great one for people that use homework systems. There are a lot of options being developed out there that are here to stay for different disciplines. This one's pretty much focused on math, but there's a lot of whatever's on my screen. There we go. Oh, I think it's a delay because my connection is not great. Sorry. Okay, so this is an example of how you can use H5P, which you can feed through Adapt that David showed, or if you don't worry, if you're not concerned with grading, then you can just drop it directly into Canvas. So here's an example of a slideshow. that I created that people can flip through to get information. There's a lot of different things that you can create in H5P. I think they have like 50 different things you can create. Here's an example of a timeline that you can create. So it might be great for like a history class. And then you can also embed practice questions. So here's some questions that people can answer and then check their answers. This one's not set up to be graded. It's just some practice to see where they're at. But lots of different types of questions that you can ask with that. Another example, here's another slideshow. Here's a crossword puzzle that I created to review content. So the questions are down here and students can fill it out and check their work. So lots of different, interesting, unusual things that you can do to play around in here. Another one, if you get really complex with it, this is a branching scenario. So it actually takes students through a scenario where they pick options, kind of like choose your own adventure, and they decide what happens next in the story, and then they get feedback. So this kind of has the instructions of how to do it and an introduction, and Amanda graciously volunteered along with Jim Mulligan here at Reedley College. Did I lose my connection?
Oh, sorry, it looks like we lost her again. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm back. Okay, let's do that again. Okay. You there? Let's see. There we go. Okay. So so this is an example. And if you click proceed, I have it muted right now, but the students can watch this video. And at the end of the video, it will ask them a question on what they should do next. Let's see. There's a little bit of a lag time. I'm sorry. So at the end, it asks them what to do, what they want to do next. And depending on their answer, they can either progress through the storyline or be reverted back to make a different decision or a better decision, depending on what you're trying to teach here. So it's just an example of some of the amazing things out there that are totally free that you can customize for a lot of different applications.
All right.
Questions?
Any questions?
No? All right, thank you. Dr. Azon, would you like to introduce your faculty showcase from Madera?
Before
Oh.
we do that, can I just ask Michael, who's in the call right now, to enter or type his name, full name and campus in the chat, just so we get a record of who's here. He just has his first name. I just want to make sure that everyone who's eligible gets paid. That'd be really helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, Sally.
So my name is Antoinette Azon. I am the OER coordinator here at Madera Community College. I'm excited to introduce Dr. George Cartwright. Dr. Cartwright is our criminal justice instructor and has years of experience creating his own OER textbook, as well as his course content. He has received several grant funds through the ASCCC, as well as the Chancellor's Office, to work on creating a zero textbook degree option. So without further ado, George, you're up.
Well, thank you, Antoinette. I appreciate it. It's good to be here with everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm take a little bit different approach than my two predecessors here, and I'm going to talk about my experience with OER. It started in 2020, but prior to that, Amanda Tainter was constantly plugging OER when I was in Reedley, and it took me a while, but I got to Madera and an opportunity arose, and I thought, I'm going to try it. The Central Motherlode Regional Consortium was offering some grant money to write a textbook. So I thought, I have an intro to criminology class. I'm a criminology instructor, by the way. And the book is a couple $100. And you've probably heard this all week if you've been in these meetings, talk about the expenses of publishers and getting books that are published. And I felt bad every semester. So I decided to give it a shot. Now, it seemed intimidating. And I don't know, everyone here, are you considering jumping into this, writing a book or creating a class? I've created I've done the projects, 3 books and 2 classes for commons. And we also have some grant money to do. Over the next 2 years, I'm going to be writing another 3. Now, it seems intimidating if you're looking at it from the outside, but I am really that stereotypical person who says, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And if you're intimidated or holding back because of the work, I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it isn't as daunting as I originally thought once I got in. So in 2020, I created the first book, and really it was great because I already had a Canvas class, or I already had my class outlined. And then the pandemic hit, and then we went online, and everything became an online class. But I had my outline, so I submitted that, and then the book was constructed around the outline. And it was such a refreshing thing. Instead of getting a new book for a class and then working around the book, you could actually form the book to fit the class. So I really appreciated the process, and it went fairly smoothly. So in 2021, I wanted to do it again for a criminal investigations class, but on that time, I located one that had been published that was excellent, and but it was all about Canadian law. It was from 2 guys from Canada, and they were talking about it was really focused on Canadian law, but the theories of investigation worked just well. Well, they worked perfectly. So I remixed it and made it more California centric. So basically made it relate to California law. And I did the same thing, went through the process, and I created a Canvas course for both of these courses, or both of these books. After I wrote the books, I created the courses. And of course, I embed the textbooks in the classes. So the great thing is, when you start your semester, you don't have to go through that delay of, I don't have my textbook yet, all that, I'm waiting on my grant money and all those things. You're ready to go on the first day. Now I have been fortunate, and in 2022, I created another book on criminal evidence. And in each of these projects, there has been someone, I know someone who did the graphics and all the images and all the accessibility issues for me. I basically did the research, created the outline, did the research, sent in the words, and they turned it into a really nice. I think they really did a great job with it. I'm looking for my books on here now. Let me see if I can locate them. I wanted to. I'm not able to do that. So in 2022, this time I took a little bit more of a leap into this whole concept of OER. So where there were glaring omissions, or where some of the material needed to be bolstered, then I wrote my own and added my own words to that. And that experience was really the best. I think I've enjoyed doing this process, and I appreciate what it does for the students. We have saved tens of thousands of dollars just in these 3 books alone, I have no doubt. And once we in 2 years from now, I'll have 3 more books, and also that will mean we'll have a whole certificate of achievement here in Madera that is all ZTC. And the ultimate goal is to I have 17 courses in the catalog for criminology. The ultimate goal is to have a book for each one of them. And so a new development that happened yesterday that I just accepted is for the OERI, the state level. I'm going to be the collaboration cohort facilitator for the administration of justice group in California. So I'm going to get to see what's being written across the state. Because here's the one problem with this OER is that a lot of people, I think, are reinventing the wheel, and we're at a state level, they're trying to get a grip on it. They're you know, so everyone is not looking for, or everyone's not writing the same book or putting out the same information. We can distribute it so that there's more depth available for everyone in the state. So if you are considering, to sum up and to conclude, if you're considering getting into OER, I highly recommend that you do it. And one thing I learned about accessibility when I started writing the Canvas courses is that for years, I have been stealing things and not giving anyone credit. I had no idea it was rampant. And I know if I did that, I know it's happening all over. So I highly encourage you to jump in. It is a lot of fun. And does anyone have any questions? All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, George. And George is not kidding when he says that I would not leave him alone. When I saw someone that put a possible move to OER, they heard from me quite a bit. So that's usually the squeaky wheel gets the faculty to move over to OER. I think that rounds out our official author showcase. So now we thought we'd open it up for questions that anybody might have for our faculty showcase, or just any in general OER questions that people might have. What you see shared in front of you is some really great resources to find and curate some of the OER that our faculty showcase demonstrated. But we'll just open up the floor if anybody has any questions, or any of the other OER coordinators on the campuses have anything they want to add.
I'm appreciative of every single faculty who contributed to this showcase. We have plenty of resources at the college. So if you are at a particular college, please take the name and email of who your OER lead is at the college. I think every single college has a repository of OER services. There's also some trainings available. I know at Madera Community College, we are going to be on training our faculty on ongoing OER efforts. And we're constantly looking for funding to help support our faculty who are interested in creating OER content. Does anybody have any, I want to ask, I'm curious about questions? You have a whole wealth of rooms, of a room here that can give you some insights, advice. Any of the leads want to share some of the projects that they've done?
You want to turn off
you
the
know me, I'll
recording so
always-
people could maybe feel more comfortable asking questions?
Oh, good idea, Stephanie. I'll share why we're doing that. I really enjoyed the idea of breaking away from a textbook using OER. I'm a big fan of embedding all of my stuff into Canvas, and it really gives me the opportunity not to say, even if it's OER, not to just feel like I have to use one textbook, and I get to put in all of these different modalities right in my Canvas course. So they read some, they watch some videos, they listen to some podcasts or whatever it might be. But OER gives me the flexibility to build my course however I want to build it. And this is the same for a face-to-face or an online class. You have all this content that you're able to offer them. And really, for me, that's how I feel an instructor's role is becoming. We get to be this guide. There's so much information. Our students can Google or search online and find any information. Our role is to scaffold them in getting the correct information and to thinking critically through that. So OER gives us that opportunity to say, okay, I have handpicked everything I'm offering you right now. It's everything I want you to know. You have no reason to go and Google anything. I've given you everything you need. Let's now engage critically in this information. So that's all I wanted to share from my personal experiences.
I had a question for David. Your kind of formative questions, I think you had some that are kind of like in the text. How do you make, like, what tool do you use to have those like right kind of embedded in there? Are they just part of the, is it on the sort of the LibreText side or Canvas side, or what was that? That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's on the LibreText side. So what LibreText has done is all of these questions from MyOpenMath. Some people have put in some questions that they have from Canvas and they imported into Adapt.
Oh,
Tons of questions in the Adapt platform that you can then actually directly import into the textbook. What I didn't show is in the edit toolbar of the LibreText page, there's actually one button for Adapt. So if you click on that, you can copy paste the question ID and now go directly into the book and you're done.
That's awesome. So it's through the Adapt platform, those little questions in your text.
Yes.
That's awesome. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
And just to add on before, I was going to blow up the chat, but I'm too lazy, so I'll just say it. LibreText Studio gives you the opportunity to actually build your own H5Ps, which are interactive activities, and you can feed those into Adapt, which is the mechanism it will deploy into Canvas. You can curate them all together. So what Delmar likes to refer as the Libreverse, it's a really cool set of options for you to be able to fully implement interactive, formative, summative types of assessments. And Delmar actually presented yesterday, so we'll have that recording available as soon as it renders, probably in the next couple of weeks, that went over all of that. And any of your OER coordinators on your campus can help walk through the Libreverse and the suite of options. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I know it is a Friday afternoon at 1:55, so we appreciate everybody logging in and listening to our faculty showcase. And I echo Antoinette's sentiments where we truly appreciate faculty being willing to share what they're doing and supporting their colleagues in making this next leap to OER. So I have nothing else to say.
I was gonna say, if you want a copy of the PowerPoint that was presented today, particularly with the last slide that has the references or resources, please email one of your OER coordinators. We can definitely give you a copy of the PowerPoint. I'm not entirely sure if Fresno City is going to post it in their professional development area.
Okay. Well, we'll see everybody
you so
later, and
much.
thanks for logging in.